Sure, it doesn't really come as any surprise to you when you hear that, it's the players. It's that typical cockiness that you want from your pro scene. And Jumpa is the embodiment of everything you would want to see in a very confident jungler. He does not think that
it's
there's
almost like a solo
laner
mentality, isn't it? A little bit from him, how much he just believes he's better than everyone else. But I mean, if you saw him at Worlds last year, he got up on the stage and did it. I believe he got the MVP for Myth Gaming as well off the performance that he had. I mean, he can be that difference maker 100%.
But I want to see confidence, yes. I do not want to see overconfidence, and I do feel if FlashPoint aren't careful here, they could possibly let this one slip away from them, because Noxious, they're nothing to be messed with. If you give them the opportunities, they are going to capitalize on them.
They absolutely can. Noxious are the kind of team that won't let you make a mistake twice, for sure. So we'll see if they can capitalize enough here. Picks and bans already. Noxious up against FlashPoint, and we'll go ahead and get into those picks and bans for you here in just a moment. I was alluding to some picks that I wanted to see taken away from Jumpa. Do you think that should be the priority here for Noxious? They've taken the Opwash and the Freya off the board right away. A little bit surprised to see Opwash banned. Not nearly as surprised to see Pele banned on the other side, though.
Or Chernobog to boot. It just seems like those heavy mobility guys FlashPoint don't really want to take any chances with. But Noxious, this Outwash, it's not only a very specific target ban against FlashPoint, but I also think it was kind of just a little bit of a throwaway ban there. They wanted to get a top priority pick, but they do leave open quite a lot of other top tier choices such as the Baron, such as the Terra. I think even arguably Mercury could still pose a serious threat here up against the Erlang.
I certainly think so. I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen more of it. Sun Wukong, though, being selected from FlashPoint. You know, I heard the Noxious boys joking about it. I thought they might be the ones that are going to be grabbing this one, but it's picked up there by FlashPoint along with Discordia. So maybe not the big priority picks that we've seen lately, like meta picks, but these are definitely priority ones, I would say, for FlashPoint, or at least Discordia is. This is something I would not be surprised to see Crimson playing at all. You know, it does give them a great bit of damage, some control in these fights as well. Discordia, a strong pick.
It's safe and effective crowd control against the Erlang. That's the big thing for me here. You've got that. I think that with the Strife, you can deal a decent amount of damage, and not only that, but the Golden Apple having the cripple effect for the Erlang could prevent that turtle knockup forever coming into play. And the chances of it spreading onto a Soul and Terra, not super likely. I do think that Soul and Terra have their own self-survivability, that it shouldn't be that much of an issue for those two, but the Erlang specifically is probably who FlashPoint are trying to gear this heavy crowd control against.
Yeah, not just Discordia, but Ardio can do something similar against him as well. And then Terra also. I mean, how often do we see this Ardio almost snap-picked in response to the Terra, just because it can shut her down so well in lane, where once Terra gets a couple abilities online, she can sometimes be the bully. Now it'll be Ardio, and they don't even have their Hunter yet. They could certainly add even more pressure to the fire in this next round of picks if they so choose, as the Rom and Thor have both been banned out.
And we keep seeing this as a response pick also from NA teams. I mean, even though PlayStation and Xbox are their own exclusive platforms, it's still console, and the fact is, Terra does not bode very well into the Ardio, and FlashPoint with the Sun Wukong, Discordia, and Ardio, I think that they all have really safe lane clear, and their draft can go in just about any direction from this point, whether they want to give Jumpa a little bit more of an aggressive jungler choice to try and match some of the pressure that the Erlang might have early on, or if they want to put him onto another utility-based god, such as a Ratatosker or even the Thor. I think that it would still fare very well for the team.
Quite a few Hunters taken off the board by FlashPoint at this point in Taka, Rom, Hou-Yi, and the Chernobog all removed. Serket taken away by Noxious. That's great recognition. Serket, a high priority jungler that the likes of Jumpa could very easily do work with. So yeah, get that one off the board. But that does leave the Hunter pool a little bit smaller now. I wonder if Noxious are even considering flexing Soul over into their ADC, or if they just want to have that Soul in the middle lane. As Medusa comes through for FlashPoint, they have a very strong Hunter. When you can pair it with Ardio, that aggression in lane, they should be able to get pressure without too much trouble.
Ardio Medusa is a deadly combination because you don't really have an escape viability from the cripple field, which sets you up for Medusa's Petrify slow to come into effect, or the stun outright if you don't turn in time. I think that's one of the main reasons why Medusa was regarded as the best hunter choice on Xbox for a very long time.
That's right, yeah, because it was just a little bit slower than maybe what you might have been used to from PC. As Agni comes through, they already have the Discordia here, Taco. So now with their second mage pickup, we got to start wondering where some of this stuff is going in this case. Does that mean it's Wukong in the jungle, perhaps, for Jumpa, and then we're seeing this Discordia or Agni maybe over in solo, or Discordia in the jungle? I mean, Taco, where's this going?
Agni solo lane, some Wukong jungle, Discordia in the mid lane, because Crimson has always been one to lean towards the Discordia, plus Discordia is going to be infinitely safer in mid lane as opposed to solo. Agni has great lane clear on his own, which is why I'm expecting him to be in the solo lane, and I think Medusa's a little bit more self-explanatory, but it is a possibility of it being a jungle Agni too.
Sure.
I just don't really expect Jumba to head in that direction.
No, this Sun Wukong does kind of feel like something that I could see Jumpa playing, but this Flashpoint roster, you can't 100%, I think, say where any of this stuff is going. But I think that, is this opened up by this Nike pick? Nike is certainly strong, but she's not too much of a lane bully, right? You can kind of put your mage over there and maybe not be in as much pressure as you would from some other solo laners we see nowadays.
And that's the concern here, is that, sure, Nike's going to be able to clear out her lane safely, but how safe can you be against the Agni? As soon as he gets those boots online, I think that there is a heavy threat of this Nike ending up being out-pressured even inside of her own solo lane, and Agni relatively safe as well with that flame path.
Let's go ahead and get right into the action then. Noxious up against Flashpoint. Game 1, casters, take it away.
Thanks a lot, John. Thanks a lot, Taco. Tom Banninger and Anatoly Alexanak on the horn for you today. Noxious representing the European side of things, and then Flashpoint, their North American opponents. Should be an exciting one here, Toly.
But look at this. They were alluding at the desk about where these picks are going, but it's actually going to be Discordia for the support. Matt Koi's Delny piloting the RDO in the jungle.
Very interesting setup here. I almost thought we were going to see that Agni jungle, but not going to be the case. Instead, the monkey in the jungle. Just a different monkey. We're used to seeing the Hun Batsinator. Now we've got the king of the monkeys, if you will.
And this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. The Strife has the control that you need, and it's from a safe distance. You don't have to put yourself out of position to engage. If you build tanky onto Discordia, it's not the end of the world as well. I think that the idea here is just to be able to set up the engagements, and I think that once Crimson gets level 5, you got the bomb stuns on multiple targets. You got that Manus effect going for Matt Koi's, and that could be the tipping point for some of these team fights to allow Flashpoint the edge.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Discordia. You were talking about how you can sort of build tanky on this. We've seen that before, believe it or not. Matt Koi is going to stick his nose over here by the red buff. This could be really dangerous. He's just trying to disrupt while his hunter takes care of the purple. Matt Koi's here, pops out, creeping, and just occupying space, really.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes. Needs to get the perfect unruly magic, and he
got
is able to steal it away.
Matt Koi's gets stunned. Is he going to be able to escape a Zwen Mush? It certainly looks like it, Toly. So the purple gets taken by the carry, and then the invade comes out, and Matt Koi's and his teammate get both the red buff and the purple buff. Fantastic job there so far.
There was one of two ways that could have went. Unruly magic does more damage at level 1 than the Strife, but the Strife, if you position yourself and angle it that you can hit the red buff and hit both opposing enemies, the Manus effect forces them to fight each other while you can still try to last hit that. I like the unruly magic, get a bigger burst damage.
Still a very interesting choice. I think the Jungle Sun Wukong is easier to digest, to figure out, right? Solo RDO, something we see all the time. The support Discordia, though. As I said, we've seen Kiki play this in the solo lane, so tank Discordia is not completely unheard of, but really, I mean, what is Koi's going to look to do here?
Probably build auras. Sit in the backline, get a Sovereignty, Heartward Amulet, get the magical physical protection, HP 5, MP 5 from those auras. Maybe Shogun's Kusari if you want to boost up Keeksmate's numbers, but if he's building Transcendence, I'm assuming he's more leaning on the physical power, so probably not going to see Shoguns out of Matt Koi's. So he's just going to be looking to engage with the Strife, trying to get the Manus effect on whoever's getting bomb stunned out of Crimson, and sit in the backline, get the regen going.
So the lane clear is going to be nice here in the early stages while Matt Koiz leans on his base abilities. And then as we see him build tankier later on, he's going to lose some of that damage, but he still has access to the Strife, which you were talking about. The cripple on the apple is a really big deal, and also a zoning tool as well. Once you toss the apple on somebody else, they have to exit the fight, or they risk spreading it to everybody else.
Wouldn't be surprised if Matt Koiz were to pick up a Stone of Binding to be able to get that extra 15 penetration for his teammate. On top of that, the passive of Discordia, how can you even forget that one? Because honestly, it doesn't matter what role Discordia goes. You were mentioning how Kiki runs it in the solo lane. Well, that's going to allow the dual lane, for example, to be more aggressive and benefit from it.
That's a really big deal. You know, Gnome's selection here, Nike, this is a selection that we always talk about with respect to the passive, but we kind of, you know, don't bring that up with Discordia. So very, very important to note that she's going to be lifting the power of whoever is up there on top. And then going to Gnome's selection of the Nike. This character, one of my favorites as far as under-selected, I think. She's got a really high win rate in casuals and stuff like that because of her ability to just help the team by doing nothing.
But in competitive, teams know how to kind of get those little advantages, transition into gold furies, and make the game last not super late game. So against the Nike, I think that FlashPoint needs to keep that in the back of their mind, that there's a ticking time bomb of once those halos start to show up a little bit further, whether it's the 200 minions, the 2 level 20s, or the 10 kill count marker. You don't want to be dealing with all that extra movement speed and damage out of Noxious.
She also just becomes unkillable with the right build in the late game. You're talking a character with 3,000 health and a shield that'll be about half of that. I mean, it becomes ludicrously difficult to kill this frontline character once things really get going. So FlashPoint, it's interesting. Usually when we talk about ticking time bombs, I'm looking offensively. I'm looking at Freya. I'm looking at characters like Bakasura. This is the opposite. Gnome's just going to be incredibly difficult to kill.
Ooh, Jumpa gonna force the beats out of Arabiax, and with Crimson hitting level 5 and no mana for the Soul mid, forcing him back to base rather prematurely. A good little edge for FlashPoint to start controlling some of these mid-Harpy camps.
Matt Koiz missing a bit there. If he hits the Strife, is that first blood?
I don't think so, although there wasn't any mounted archery. He still had the EI Jutsu to get away. Beads are still up. Keek's mate around, not super close to get off the Petrify. It just probably would have forced the beads, if anything.
Right now, a return to normalcy, if you will, with the duo lane. Hydra and Zwenmush. They've looked all right this season. Really, though, for Noxious, I've been looking at Mango and Arabiax as the real strong points of this squad. Noxious have gotten a lot of wins off of their jungler, and he's got the first pick Arlong Shen, so he's certainly equipped to do so.
If there's ever a god you want to make plays on, it's got to be the Erlong Shen, just receiving a huge favored boost after, you know, Sino has brought it into the SPL and players started to figure out just how obnoxious and oppressive this god really is, catching the blink.
Just right there, blink in, taunt, knock up, see you later. Respawn first blood for Noxious as the blue team, the Europeans, are the first on the board.
Took 5.5 minutes in, but that's a good way to start things off with a bang for Mango. We were just alluding to him making the plays. He blinks in, he taunts out Crimson during the dash. That was the crucial point where Crimson was just dead to rights. He needed some beads before the dash, but he just assumed that he would have time to hit the hot 180 dash safely.
Great timing as well, just pinpoint accuracy. Mango showing off the best of the character. Hoping to continue that now as he's got full boots online. He's going to look really strong as far as the mid-game is concerned. But let's take a second look here, Toli, and see how he goes about getting this first blood.
And it was important to find the taunt. If he looks for the blink knockup, I think there would be enough time for Crimson to be able to dash away. But look at that. Like 2 feet was Crimson able to dash away and just dead to rights.
Yeah, hot catch there of the dash. And our first blood brought to you by Respawn. Now Noxious looking to continue their push. Hydra over here left on the left side all by himself. Seems to be pretty okay.
He's fine on the left side. He has the mounted archery for the disengage. You get CC immunity. You're able to travel half the lane anyway, so no problem for Hydra. But in the mid lane, a little bit of trouble for Crimson after that tap. However, Hydro forced the Aegis.
Yeah, the Aegis is good. How about the dot damage? Just barely not enough.
Ooh.
Hydro able to wiggle on out of there. Great use of the Aegis to avoid the ultimate coming from the carry.
So smart to pick up that Aegis. Well, you always have to evaluate the pros and cons of every relic once you start a game. You got to make sure that you're not in autopilot mode every game picking up bees, every game picking up teleport if you're in the solo lane, because certain times you want to switch things up, and that's what Matt Koiz did with the horrific emblem.
Delny knocked up right side. Arabiax going to use an ultimate on the mid lane, but Delny now 2-on-1. Artio surrounded. Artio grounded. It's Mango one more time. The follow-up for the jungler. And Jumpa across the way, gonna pick up one for himself. 1-for-1 across the map.
Great patience from Jumpa. Once he goes into the cloud, allows his decoy to absorb some of these tower shots, and then proceeds to make the tower dive. Arabiax gonna get punished for being a little bit out of position. Great rotation coming out of Jumpa.
Jumpa just knowing that he has to make things happen. Mango gets the first blood and the follow-up kill. Jumpa needs to be active.
And a lot of action outside that mid lane into the soul lane, where Delny getting caught out as well. A little bit too far forward by the enemy tower. When you don't know where the opposing jungler is, no matter which side lane you are, you got to be hugging the wall that's further away from the jungler. So that way, when you do see them coming around, you have more time to react and be able to make the more accurate decision.
Every footstep counts.
Yeah.
Every footstep counts. Pings coming out. It's a rotation from Terra. It's going to be happening. Terra finds Jumpa with a stun. There's the knockup from the jungler. Jumpa in some trouble. Uses the knockup of his own. And transformation for transformation will be good. It's a little bit early for Gold Fury, so Noxious are going to walk right on past it. They're going to prioritize the Harpies.
Smart target selection out of Noxious, because they recognize Jumpa without his ultimate could be a sitting duck, but still having the 72 transformations to knock up several members. And it would have been interesting to see if the Sun Wukong would have been in that solo lane, because sometimes you'll be rushing that soul eater since you have time to stack. But in the jungle, you don't have that same luxury to sit around, build up those stacks, and then look for the team fight. So going for a more cost-effective build with the Gladiator shield.
Discordia here, starting off with the tank boots. Mages, of course, the base stats, something we really rarely talk about, but essentially Matt Koiz taking this Discordia into this role. She's going to be less tanky by default than some of the more traditional Guardian selections or support selections. So prioritizing the reinforced Greaves, I think, are important this time.
I like what Delny did before that route when he stepped into the tower line, took one tower shot to stun the Ren.
Jumpa's going to be stunned all the way. Oh, the ultimate helps him out. He's going to chase the enemies back with his decoy. That should be safety for the jungler. Sticking around here, though, I don't know, Totally. This might be a little bit in trouble. Knockup's going to be bad from Mango, but the return knockup. Here comes help from Noxious. Gnome is here. Jump is going to miss. And the long-range help from Crimson just barely out of control.
Jumpa getting slowed out from Gnome, but the peels from Delny is good enough to save the soul laner's life.
Just good enough. Clean, maybe not the word I'm going to use, but effective, that's one I'll stick to. FlashPoint gets on out of there. Jumpa has to use an ultimate, but eventually everybody is safe and sound, and really that's what matters.
Yeah, that's right. Gnome and Mango trying to be offensive, use two ultimates, get out Jumpas in return, but every time Mango uses his ultimate on Jumpa, now Crimson can breathe easier. And that's what you want out of your mid-mage. You want to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to be a tanky frontline bruiser, whether it's solo, Guardian, quote-unquote, or jungle, then I'd rather take the bullet than my mid laner.
Crimson now in trouble. One route not good enough. Second route not going to find it. Knock him on Matt Koiz. Support Discordia is going to be fine. Double stun coming out from Crimson. Where's the follow-up damage, though? Discordia is dead. Hydro from the left-hand side, making it happen. It's 3-1 so far. 3-2 as Jumpa answers back. But again, the double une. Jumpa goes down to the hand of Hydro.
And now Delny in the thick of things, forcing Hydro back. Good rotation from Keegsmate to at least return a kill onto Mango, but it just wasn't enough. Hydro was able to out-rotate Keegsmate and keep Crimson far enough away from the action that those bombs weren't as impactful as it could have been.
Gold Fury's here, and Keegsmate does not have Petrified. He's going to stick around for an acid spray shot. Swen is pretty low, and he's tanking. Delny making the rotation as well. Keegsmate's all in. Here comes help from Delny. Delny goes for it. FlashPoint. They're going to snatch it away and take the life. 2 kills for Delny. 1 for the Hunter. And everybody be eaten. FlashPoint takes the objective, takes the team fight, takes the lead. They're up 1,500.
That's the risk versus reward that teams always have to calculate. They had the player number advantage, but they didn't have the health pool required. And Mush, not high enough level to get the appropriate healing. 4-on-1 collapse onto Mango. Not going to be able to get out of that one. And FlashPoint walk away clean with a steal.
Just juicing the jungler right there. 4-player collapse takes care of Mango, and FlashPoint now significantly in the lead as far as momentum is concerned.
All these relic selections have been so smart, I think, from both of these teams. I love the fact that Delny goes for Blink second once he hits level 12. Without that Blink, that Gold Fury play is non-existent, not able to get in position, because by the time you're dashing as an RDO, everyone from Noxious probably disengages and is healthy, and I don't think FlashPoint have the opportunity to do anything from it.
Let's rewind real quick and take a look at that play. Fantastic stuff coming out from FlashPoint. And again, this was all Keegs sticking around, making the call, and then Delny letting him know he's going to be coming around the corner.
Delny able to blink in, zones away the Nike. Goes in with a hot stun. The acid spray sets up more bear swipes, and then all of a sudden, Arabiax put himself so far out of position because he wanted to zone out the Medusa.
Jumpa's going to pick up one as we return to the action. Kingsmate wins the 1v1 on the left-hand side. Noxious trying to keep on. 2 dead on their team. FlashPoint keeping it going. Ultimate from Matt Coy is going to cripple.
But Gnome is still very healthy, trying to deal some damage onto Jumpa to deter him from chasing out Arabiax, but he's not going to get stopped at all. 2-on-2 on the left, on the bottom side, while Crimson takes out Mush on the right.
The trust in FlashPoint here is really what I'm noticing, right? You've got the 1v1 on the left side. FlashPoint trusts Kingsmate to do it. The team fight splits up, and everybody trusts each other to take care of each other's target. Normally, you don't want to split the team fight like that, but FlashPoint knows Crimson's going to handle his fight on the top, and they know that Jumpa's going to handle his fight on the bottom. Arabiax a little bit too comfortable there under the tower, gets cleaned up after the fact.
Oh, the blink taunt, not fast enough this time. Crimson was prepared for it. And I like the way you mentioned that, Tom, the trust in teammates from FlashPoint, whereas Noxious trying to do a little bit too much, putting themselves so far out of position was Arabiax at that Gold Fury play, and then right again there at the Tier 1 mid tower. He had no business being that far out, knowing that Crimson is around the corner with a bomb stun.
Just needs to get on out of there, I think was the play. Arabiax does fall down, though. That'll be death number 3 in 15 minutes on the clock. We're one shy of that many kills. 10-4. FlashPoint with the lead. 4,000 gold up. 5,000 gold up.
This game is a great example that even if you give a first blood, you're still not out of the game. Crimson was the first to die to the rotation from Mango, but because of these team fights that started to favor FlashPoint, there's a 4-level disparity between these two mid laners. Crimson sitting level 15, just now hitting level 11 was Arabiax.
Right now, Jumpa's build, plenty of damage, but more focused, and I like this, on the anti-heal. Brawler's Beats take number 3. This prioritization of this item, I think, is really important for what he's trying to do. One, Sun Wukong is a great, great, great character for Brawler's Beats because all of his abilities are really, really susceptible to hit multiple players.
That's true, and with a relatively short cooldown on some of them to be able to spam it multiple times. Jumpa, though, getting in the thick of things, goes up in the cloud, but the bombs are raining in.
Crimson's got the control and the damage on top. Gnome's going to make the flank. Got to watch out for that. Matt Coy's trying to make the rotation. Down goes the jungler already. Delny could be in trouble as well. Mango with the last hit, but here's the resurgence. Crimson takes down one. Hydro's gonna be next. The damage from the support, just good enough. Kingsmate finds the basic. 4 players dead for Noxious. Gnome on the run. It's a 2-for-4. FlashPoint were losing in the beginning. Now they win the team fight. 14 kills in total. FlashPoint on the retreat.
FlashPoint are so confident to force a fight 3-on-5. Kingsmate and McCoys were rotating from their respective sides of the map and still were not able to win the team fight. Noxious found some kills there onto Jumpa and Delny, but it was just too late. By the time those kills happened, healthy Matt Coy's healthy Kingsmate comes in for the good cleanup. And can we talk about the Blink Medusa there? From behind, petrifying for 50% damage, able to clean up very easily.
Yeah, nice plays there coming out from FlashPoint. You can see the damage that was exported by Noxious, and that's a large amount, really important. That's why they were able to get their 2 kills. And if you're out there as a Noxious fan or looking for a silver lining, the good thing was that Noxious did get 2 kills there, which prevent the Fire Giant. If that's just a 1-kill scenario, or they get 4-man wiped and don't get anything for it, FlashPoint are getting Fire Giant and then probably winning before 25 minutes totally. But by stopping that play, they've bought themselves an extra. They got a 1-up.
Yeah, there's always a silver lining somewhere, as Mango has to turtle back to his base. Hydro forced the mounted archery.
That's a win.
Away 2 defensive escapes for Noxious just to keep themselves alive. And FlashPoint are just doing this to position themselves for a safe Gold Fury.
I love Jumpa's sort of body language, if you will, the reaction. FlashPoint were able to steal this last time around, so we'll drill in here. Noxious instead going to be focused. Gnome gets hit with the ultimate. Likely won't be enough to kill him, but it does chase out the ultimate from Nike herself.
Trading Discordia support ultimate for a solo lane Nike ultimate.
Yeah.
I'll take that trade every time. Now it's going to be tricky for Gnome to come back in.
Meanwhile, oh wow, Hydro, where'd your life go, buddy? Delny gives him the answer. It's back to the fountain. ArabBX being chased out by the solo laner, and well, Mango's gonna show up. This could be trouble. FlashPoint, Blink Medusa, Blink Ultimate. That's gonna be a kill again. ArabBX falls to the wayside. Mango under the tower, and Gnome trying to catch up.
The decoy tanking and Delny going on in. Mango able to turtle away. Mush gonna dash forward, dash backward. Gnome gonna get rooted into place. 2 kills for FlashPoint. They wanted more, but they're not gonna get it quite yet. They gotta retreat to the Gold Fury.
Crimson daring Noxious to make a move. He gets punished for it, stunned, and loses half his life bar. But still, this is a zone play. Look at the top left of your screen, folks. Gold Fury, 25%. Make that 0. FlashPoint cash in that check. 19 minutes in, they're sitting pretty. 9,000 gold in the lead.
Very confident, almost cocky to a fault there was Crimson being that far out of position, taking about 60% of his health bar. But with this kind of a lead, can you fault FlashPoint being up about 8,500 gold, not even 20 minutes into this game, now posturing for Fire Giant?
Let's talk experience. Stay on the grass real quick, Doug. Totally, can you tell me the mid laners levels right now?
Yeah, so 13 Soul up against 17 on the Agni. It's been just a steady downfall for ArabBX after the first blood for Crimson because the team fights just wasn't favoring out the Soul.
13. You are correct. He just hit 18 now. Woof.
Yeah.
That is my official analysis about that big of an experience gap.
And when you give a lead to an Agni of all mid-mages, you're going to start feeling those triple bomb stuns. Crimson missing the stun after the second ability, but I still like the positioning there because he has Delny on the right, Jumpa on the left, Matt Koi's even there to bail Crimson out if he got in a sticky situation.
It's so rough because when you look at characters, right, they're balanced assuming everything's all even. Agni does less damage than other mages theoretically because he has access to long-range stuns. When you're up 5 levels, he just is doing damage. He's controlling the team fight. He has more mobility than you. This character becomes so oppressive with a lead, and 4-1 and 8 Crimson coming through and just wrecking anybody that looks at him. This is strong play from your mid laner, and this is what you need if you want to make it a dream hack next week.
The combination of FlashPoint being this far ahead with Noxious being this far behind doesn't give the magical defense Noxious need to deal with such a high-level Agni. Crimson, not much penetration quite yet. He avoided the penetration boots, going for Shoes of Focus for the cooldown reduction. Divine Ruin is the only real penetration now until he finishes off the Obsidian Shard. And it could even be a Spear of Magus, honestly, if he's relying on his passive.
This is sort of doing it wrong, but doing it right. Delny is going to jump right in between, find the 3-man stun. Hydro going to use the Aegis. The Jingu Bang, just barely not enough, but that's a totally TKO. He's out of the fight.
That's right. Now it's a 5-on-4. FlashPoint have the advantage to at least continue the fight or maybe bait out the Fire Giant. Delny getting tickled by Mango as he goes back in. You poke the Angry Bear, and the Bear's going to poke back.
Gnome getting poked all the way to the fountain by Crimson. Mango here gets stunned up. The rest of the FlashPoint a little bit out of the way. ArabBX with his zoning ult, and Keegsmate with the basic 5-0-5 for Keegs. And FlashPoint have control of the area. They have control of the Fire Giant pit, and likely control of the objective itself.
Mango didn't even have time to heal off of that ultimate. It takes about 4 seconds to receive that healing, and just not enough defense with the Anchile, the Masamune, not enough to survive. He has no real health in that build, and I don't think he had the turtle shell to keep him out of that one. 22 minutes into the game, FlashPoint get their first Fire Giant.
We just watched the PlayStation 4 game go on, and Arlong Shen looked impossible to deal with. FlashPoint here doing exactly that. 3-5-2. Mango has had some application. Don't forget, he had our first blood. But since then, I mean, Mango's kind of been kept in check. Toli, how exactly has FlashPoint gone about keeping this powerful character at bay?
It was mostly due to the Gold Fury. That Gold Fury rotation from Delny is what allowed FlashPoint to keep the game from out of control, because Mango set up the first blood onto Crimson, then a couple minutes later rotated to the Soul Lane about where Delny was level 9, punishing the RDO for being a little bit too far out of position. But since then, not able to get any sort of repeat plays, because FlashPoint started to group up as 4, sometimes even 5, and looked for this all-out team fights. And this is where picks and bans become an issue, because Delny's RDO really shuts down what Mush wants to do, what Mango is trying to do with the turtle knockup, because as a jungle Erlong Shen, you're relying on your turtle form to keep you more resilient. When you're going for some damage build with the Crusher, for example, you need that turtle. And if you're not getting it, well, you're just half as effective.
Turtle is defensive and offensive. It's usually what you're looking for with the knockup as well. Delny again blinks into the middle, looking for Hydro, the carry. FlashPoint lagging behind just a little bit. RBX going to bring out some damage. Hydro's real low. Jumpa able to pound him out just a little bit. Delny taking the tower for his teammates, but Kingsmate can't get in here.
Another 5-on-4 for a couple of seconds while Hydro
stun.
comes back from the fountain. Wave has entered, but not getting the pot shots onto the Phoenix. Jumpa's going to actually commit to this. He still has his ultimate. He's going to dive.
Just goes right into it. Hydro, where did he go? Jumpa, kill number 19, and Kingsmate makes it 20. FlashPoint takes 2, but Arabiak answers back. That said, Kingsmate with the double kill. Blackjack for FlashPoint. Left side Phoenix goes down. Where are they going, Anatoly?
This is one dead Titan, Tom, because it's a 4-on-2. It's up to Arabiax and Mush to keep their Game 1 dreams alive.
They're going to go for it. Right now, the Titan, 90% so far. Still finding the damage. Crimson relatively low. Mush has to be pushed back. Mush going to be pushed all the way back. Number 22 for FlashPoint. 25-10. That's going to be game number 1. Noxious on the bad side, and FlashPoint take it home.
25 minutes of play. Crimson was just popping off once he got that little bit of a lead. All set up from Delny's Gold Fury Steel combined with the hot Medusa plays from Kingsmate, transitioning from the PC of Luminosity Gaming back into his native console world. The console world did not lose anything, honestly, after that return.
Not at all. I'm with you, Toli. I think moment of the game by far was this man right here. Delny, looking like a SoundCloud rapper, but playing like a Grammy winner. Coming through, getting the Gold Fury out of the hands of the opposition. And Delny is going to be a big part of why I think this game went in FlashPoint's favor.
And the thing was, they didn't allow their mentality to get hit by that first blood. Despite Mango making a great play in the mid lane, shutting down Crimson around that level 5 or 6 marker, still grouping up as a cohesive unit around 4 members, 5 members is what allowed FlashPoint to start getting some objectives under themselves.
Interesting composition this time around. The support Discordia makes it happen. Game number 1 in the books. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Toli. An impressive game 1 from FlashPoint, and they actually look very dominant, I would say, here up against Noxious, at least for the back half of the game. I think things started out looking well for Noxious, but FlashPoint got in control. What happened in the early game that looked good for FlashPoint, maybe that they can try and build on?
Honestly, I'd say the early game is what looked good for Noxious, not so much FlashPoint. Yeah. I think that Noxious did a great job at handling the pressure spread across the map. They were constantly rotating around. The Erlang Shen did exactly what Noxious were intending for it to do, and that is just build upon that jungle pressure. It felt like Jumpa didn't really have a whole lot of room to work with. In fact, he was constantly being forced out of his own ultimate, even on the Sun Wukong, and I think the mentality there from Jumpa was match Warrior early game with Warrior early game, except Erlang just felt a little bit more impactful. But kudos to Delany. I think that he is but without a doubt, Flashpoint's knight in shining armor.
Yeah, he looked great for them this game, and I think you've been alluding to it. It was really Delny with that Gold Fury steal that kind of turned the game back around for them, and he was able to find several kills. We'll even get a chance to go back and take a look at it. And this right here is the interesting one where Gnome kind of has a chance to stick with Delny and ends up jumping away.
And that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That is not a situation where your full health Nike should ever try to jump away. At best, Delany's going to be able to force out maybe a third, possibly even half of this Nike's health, but there was just no reason at all for Gnome to take such a passive stance against this RDO, but because of it, Flashpoint, they didn't hesitate. He already knew, or Keegs already knew that Delany was coming in with a backup assistance, probably calling that out in comms, and they just ran right through with it.
And the reason why it's so important that we're kind of highlighting that Gnome doesn't even try and slow down the path for Delany to get in is that Noxious don't really have any confirm on this team, right? The best they have is Soul, you would say, but it's not a ton. You can definitely get some other abilities in there, even in between the Supernova, to try and strip it away. So you got to make sure everyone that you can zone out is zoned away. Unfortunately, Delany's able to get in there, make a big play, and then he's a monster for the rest of the game after that. They couldn't touch him.
And it just felt like a little bit of a heartbreaking moment there for Noxious because all of the momentum just comes completely to a halt, and the team didn't really seem like they knew how to properly recover things after the fact. Once they actually fell behind, they just seemed like they didn't really have a whole lot of experience with being able to look for pressure points elsewhere while the game was still relatively close then, because despite having had the double kill take place and losing the Gold Fury to Delany, I still think that there were moments that Noxious could have possibly looked for a group up opportunity and then maybe taken down Keegs, who was playing particularly aggressive over there in the dual lane, even picking up the blink on that Medusa as his secondary relic. So there were periods, it's just that Noxious didn't recognize them.
They weren't able to find their opportunities to try and grab that game one. Can they do it, though, in game two? Noxious versus Flashpoint, game number 2 underway, and Noxious shall again be the first pick selection, and looks like this time they'll take away the op wash again. So if it is a throwaway ban, it's a consistent one at the very least, as they choose to take it off the board. Flashpoint respond with the Chernobog. But is there anything from game one that you want to see Noxious adjust? I mean, I think for what it's worth, Flashpoint didn't really show much in that game one. You know, I mean, I doubt that Discordia support is their A strat, you know, for when they're in DreamHack. I think that if Flashpoint can make it through here and not even give anything away, that's huge for them.
That's exactly their intention also. I mean, if you talk to the team, I talked with the team a little bit before getting into this set even, and they all just felt extremely confident and seemed pretty peaceful even, despite the tensions that can be surrounding you inside of a LAN environment. Flashpoint just didn't really seem to have a care in the world, and if you're going to have a performance like game one, I can almost understand it.
And for what it's worth, that was a game that looked like it might get a bit out of hand if the Erlong shouldn't have gotten fed, if, you know, a couple more things had gone right, but instead they were able to find the response. In particular, Delny was able to find it for them with the RDO and shut that down, and he will not have that same option this time. Noxious banning away the RDO, not going to let that be the hero for them, as Chang'e banned away on Flashpoint's side, but Erlong Shen one more time, and that does mean that Flashpoint grab Freya Pele. Taco, it's hard to do better than that.
It's because the first time around, Noxious, they made their bans Alpwash and Freya, but this time they wanted to look for those adjustments, felt like RDO was posing too many problems for the team, and so they banned it away. But allowing Freya and Pele to slip through the cracks, I mean, that's a pretty big... I don't want to call it a misplay because there's nothing to stop Noxious from possibly having the necessary crowd control, but that's exactly what they need to get from this point forward, is heavy crowd control so as to better keep Freya and Pele in check.
And they have some very, very high priority picks of their own. Erlong Shen might be the best jungler in the game. I think you can make a case for Mercury right there with him as well, but either one of them. Terra, also very, very strong support right now with the Earthing Fury. It's so strong in the team fight. She can have great control in lane. So I like these first two picks, and they pulled the Sun Wukong away from Jumpa in case he wanted to go back to that one as well. But Pele Freya, man, it's just so scary.
It is a bit ambiguous, though, as to where this Freya and Pele are going to end up. This could be jungle, this could be Hunter, it could be solo lane even, or even in the mid lane, Freya mid lane. So a lot of spots still with a lot of question marks here for Noxious to try and fill in the blanks. And I think that is probably the primary advantage that FlashPoint has right now, because Noxious, it's one thing to recognize the downsides from a composition that you just faced, but to try and adjust to an entirely new one while still just trying to figure out what even went wrong entirely in the first game can be problematic.
Yeah, it's tough because now you have to try and make the adjustments on the fly when you're still kind of reeling from the game 1 deficit. And what to make matters worse, I don't know how you touch Freya or Pele now that they've added this Geb into the mix, right? The Cataclysm, the Shockwave, the shields, of course, are going to add even more problems on top of it. I mean, what can you do is when you can finally catch up to Pele when she's faster than you, you can kind of get in front of the ultimate and block the dash, right? You can try and lock her down. Well, that task has just been made even harder for Noxious in this game.
I think my favorite part about all of this, though, is the fact that Koiz gets his signature God pick.
Yeah.
The Geb. I mean, this is a guy that he has gone back to time and time again throughout these LAN settings and typically had success on them. Geb is just such a safe support choice, and normally you'd expect the Geb to be punished in the early game, but when you're up against a Terra, you kind of have that general understanding that you have a little bit more leeway to work with in the early game.
Maybe a couple more levels, like 1 or 2 more levels than you might have if you're up against like a Kumba or something over there in that lane matchup, right? Maybe like an Ardio. So I think you're right that Geb can have a little bit more room to breathe. FlashPoint have their support already in the Geb, so they don't need Discordia this time. Taco, so they can just ban the Discordia away. I'm making a Discordia support joke. Laugh, please. Thank you, Taco, for having my back. Ullr comes through for even more pressure over there in the dual lane. Now, Gem's not a ton of that, but if they, well, not even necessarily that Ullr's going in duo. Freya and Ullr could flex between either role, really. So wherever they put it, it's going to be a ton of pressure.
Ullr Keeks.
Ullr, yeah, I like that. Ullr Keeks, that sounds good.
It is so interchangeable,
Right.
though. We've seen Crimson play Ullr, we've seen Keeks play Ullr. We both know that they're very well likely to be capable of playing Freya. And that's one of the harder aspects of dealing with FlashPoint here, is that not only does this roster already have so much synergy within its teammates because they've all played with each other before, but it's just their god pools are so flexible.
Yeah, you can say the same, I think, for Jumpa Delny, because sometimes gods could go for Jump in the jungle or for Delny and solo as well. So they have that ambiguity, I think, working in a lot of different areas for their team. And Noxious going to find a way to try and deal with it. But I think you're right. You kind of sold me with Keegs Ullr. He does like this pick and certainly could look strong on it. We'll see if that's the call as Nuwa and Medusa come through now for Noxious. So they do have some, some AoE there with the Medusa, with the Petrify. Nuwa, if she can find, a Clay Soldier explosion, but it's not a ton. I mean, what is from this draft that Noxious have? Are they looking for picks? Are they looking for the team fights? Where do they want to, what's their identity?
Acid Spray should at least be enough during the level 1 period for a Terra Medusa dual lane to be relatively safe. I don't want to say entirely safe, because there is still some likelihood that if it is an Ullr in that dual lane, having the double ability start could be a significant advantage in terms of just getting pressure during the laning phase. But I do like the Medusa pickup. I think Petrify could be big here in terms of punishing the Pele Freya if they over-aggress into Noxious's team comp. But I'm mostly concerned about this Nuwa, because yet again, it kind of doesn't feel like Noxious have really left themselves room to breathe if something goes wrong.
Yeah, they don't have what's the matchup that you feel like you win in this one, right? Maybe you feel like you have a good chance over in the jungle with this Erlong Shen, and you can sort of let him carry you throughout that early game until your Nuwa and your Medusa are really swinging in that mid game when they're going to be feeling good. But now with this Robin coming through, I'm thinking Pele might be in the solo lane, and then this Robin for Jumpa, that makes things even a little bit more scary that you got to worry about him running around.
I'm scared of seeing Delany on a hyper carry possible god like Pele
Absolutely.
into the Wukong, because Wukong, he can be fine if he's left alone, but I think Pele, depending on how Delany chooses to start, his itemization choices early on could have the upper hand here.
Yeah, that ability lifesteal can be a nightmare. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Pele trying to get that going as soon as possible, right? And then getting to the point where she can feel unkillable in her own right. But now you've gotten a chance to kind of see both of these drafts. I know FlashPoint's probably the team you're favoring, but do you think they've won the draft on this one too? I mean, Freya Pele's pretty good.
Yes, they won the draft. And I think
Yes.
that I can't say, necessarily this is a guaranteed victory for FlashPoint. I still think that Noxious are a more than competent team in terms of keeping up, but it's going to be tight.
It's going to be difficult indeed. Let's go right into the action. Noxious up against FlashPoint. Game 2, take it away.
Thanks again, John. Great job, Taco, as always. Tom and Tolly back on the horn here. And Noxious, they've got a lot to clean up if they were trying to find game number 2's victory Jumpa going from Sun Wukong to a much stronger Raven, if you want my opinion. And then, like Taco said, Delny on a carry. A little scary.
And the reason why they didn't get Sun Wukong was because Noxious picked it before the secondary ban phase, leaving Raven available after second. So that's kind of why Jumpa was able to get that for himself. Not surprised to see, yet again, Mango prioritizing the Erlang Shen. I don't think he was the reason of the downfall for Noxious. I think that was a collective thing that Noxious need to start cleaning up and not allow the team fights to get away from them, because the early lead went the way of Noxious.
At the same time, Mango prioritizing Erlang Shen. I'm with. Yes. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Freya and Pele got picked on the other side there. Totally.
Sure. So in that case, what you have to do is not pick up Erlang Shen, Freya, or Pele, and then leave it open and then pick something else. But the bans of Artio and Apwash at that point is a little questionable, leaving up such high burst damage characters. It's going to even allow Crimson to play the Freya in the mid lane and get even more pressure than he had as the Agni.
I mean, look, the reason we see Apwash and the Artio ban is because Apwash is kind of a throwaway ban. It's a strong mid laner, but it's a throwaway ban. And then the Artio is what kept Reform Mango in check last game.
Yes.
So we clearly see that Noxious want to play the Erlang Shen, but are they giving up too much? My answer is yes. I think the biggest problem here for Noxious has been the picks and bans. Tully, you're Coach Anatoly now. How does Noxious, what should they have done in P's and B's?
Well, the thing that they should have done in picks and bans was allow the Artio to go through and then just start camping the Artio.
Yeah.
Like, take out the Artio from the get-go. Don't allow that rotation to be fruitful, because now you're having to deal with Delny playing the Pele that's going to be rushing Soul Eater, going to have a lot of ability lifesteal. That's going to find probably a solo kill on Gnome if he's not careful. But the one thing that Noxious has going for them in their draft is the lack of control from FlashPoint. Without that Artio, who's going to really shut down Mango? Once Matt Koiz uses his Cataclysm knockup, Keeksmate's going to have to hit his Axe, Crimson's going to have to hit his Whoop for the self-peel.
Yeah, it's a lack of crowd control on FlashPoint's side for sure, but what they lack in control, they have in power. Delny on this Pele is going to be really tough to handle if he's allowed to get off to a lead. And right now, looking at that lane, Totally, it looks like he's going to do just that.
It seems so, and it's only going to get scarier once some of those stacks become an issue. As Keeksmate trying to find out some poke there as level 2 Uller, not dealing the most damage. Good little shield from Matt Koiz, but the damage has already been done. I like the aggression from Noxious's duo lane starting off early.
Hydra's been a strong player for a while now, so it's fun watching him get the Medusa and kind of dish back to Keeksmate when he got there in game number 1. Will they be able to win the lane is a different story. Keegs on the Uller has been a standout pick for him. You mentioned how he went from the console scene to the PC scene. Uller's been his selection kind of no matter what league he's in. I'm a little scared if I'm going up against Keegsmate's Uller. But Hydro, not scared at all, just bringing it to him.
When Mush is going to set up the root, it's just not enough of a Geb shield this early on to prevent that damage from Hydro to be impactful. Trying to get their own purple buff, but the timing could be a little tricky because Noxious should be able to clear out this wave and then look for a red buff invade after the fact.
Well, they're going to seep into the jungle. Purple has already gone the way of FlashPoint, so red buff would be the only invade available.
They're worried about Jumpa because they don't have vision of him on the minimap. Good safety recognition from Noxious. Now wanting to overstep any sort of boundaries. Just assume the jungler could be on your side of the map if you don't have that proper intel.
And also, you know, good on Jumpa by staying out of the lanes during that moment. That's a team communication moment where you're sitting there and going, they're unsure of where you are, don't show your face. Jumpa does just that, head back.
Gnome getting off some trades with Delny. Soul Eater already complete after the teleport.
Oh, wow.
Trying to get that lifesteal going, clearing the wave rather effectively.
Do you like that build, Totally?
I don't mind
usually we see the Warriors blessing on the pay. Like, this is just a straight rush.
It is a straight rush, and the thing is, it's a good item to have early on. Because hold that thought, though, this dual lane could be a little bit of trouble for both hunters.
Nice stun there from Keegsmate, but really strong stuff coming out from the support as well. Just getting involved and making sure his hunter doesn't die there. Here comes Jumpa, blink forward, beats to get rid of the root. Here's the follow-up damage. Hydro gets a nice shell from Mush. And the damage out of Keegs not going to be good enough. A nice gank from Jumpa. but Mush just quick on the shell and able to make that one, make his teammate survive.
I think Hydra was able to juke out the Prada Onslaught at the very last second, able to really wiggle that Medusa tail out of the way.
Tough one for him to handle there. Delny again, control of this lane. And I expect him to have control of this lane. Just a combination of damage and sustain on top of you're sustaining by doing damage.
Sure.
It's kind of rough to deal with.
And the thing about Soul Eater is the ability lifesteal synergizes more with the Pele than it does with the Sun Wukong. Deathwalker specifically brought this item more popularity in the SPL side on the Sun Wukong just to be able to be that lane bully. But
he's a spam.
Yeah, and the thing is, when a Sun Wukong can easily hit multiple targets repeatedly. If you hit 3 targets at like level 12 and higher, you're getting about 100 health back per 3 targets hit, right?
Wow.
Whereas a Pele, you have one ability that's realistically going to hit 3 targets. Mango with another good gank.
And Delny just down as quickly as he came. Gnome with the first blood. Fantastic job there so far from Noxious. Able to pick that up.
And man, Mango making these rotations, whether it's game 1 or game 2, hit or miss. I guess they never miss, huh?
I guess so, Toli. I guess so. New ultimate comes up. Noxious still in the lead. Oh, man. Yeah, we're feeling some kind of way. Flashpoint, don't forget, game number 1. Also, we're on the bad end of things as far as first blood is concerned. But quickly, we're able to take care of it. And so a nice play there from Flashpoint, or excuse me, from Noxious to really turn things around. But let's take another look. Let's take another look at that first blood.
The respawn first blood. It was just a great rotation from Mango, and this is what he did in game number 1. Last time it was up against Crimson, but this time it's against Delny.
Yeah, fantastic job. That's our respawn first blood. And you're right, certainly not going to miss there. Noxious looking clean and clear for sure.
But keep in mind, this is what Noxious did in the first game. They found the first blood, but they weren't able to transition it into anything else. Good little whoop, forcing out the bees in mid.
Now Hydra here by himself, one-on-one, fighting the mid lane, but the carry duel, it's over here. Hydro, his support's around. The stun's gonna miss. Keegsmate on the run. In the middle lane, Jumpa's gonna fall down. Keegs is still chasing this carry all the way to the back line.
One more shot!
Hydro, he's gonna survive this one. Oh, the hunt down.
Well, still going to force out at least a back out of Hydro, missing out on a lot of experience, and he's still chasing. He actually jumped through the tower to find the solo.
Keegsmate going all the way deep. Look at that young man at the bottom right of your screen. That little smirk.
Nonchalant.
That is the, no, that is smug. That is a smug mug. Keegsmate right there, getting his points back for his team, and Flashpoint jump ahead.
Well, you know what the famous Michael Scott says, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and Keegsmate taking all the shots in the world. Delny forced to use that ultimate defensively to get away from the clutches of Mango.
So we were talking before about how we would have rathered seen this Noxious draft go down, and you mentioned just let the audio through and then camp it. Well, here they're camping the Pele, and I think this is the right thing to do. Delny on the carry, definitely want to take care of him.
And now it's going to get trickier because Delny has the Soul Eater already fully evolved, so he's getting that extra ability lifesteal on top of the passive. So if you don't 100-0 Delny in the first 3 seconds, he's just going to be able to heal it all back up from the one knockup, a couple of the fire orbs, and then he's topped off.
It reminds me of old school Hercules, and Herc can still do this, but it's been nerfed a little bit, where you jump on him, you bring him down to 25%, and then he's at 95 again, and you just mash your monitor.
And what else you could do is maybe force out the Pele passive in the 1v1 from Gnome, and then during that 20-second internal cooldown, then have the gank from Mango to take advantage.
Right now, all things tied up. About 1,000 gold lead for the North Americans here, but essentially, Noxious, their first blood, has been eliminated. So it's Flashpoints at the moment. They did win game number 1. Mango in some trouble here. Gonna find the knockup. There are BX on the other hand.
No.
He's gonna get knocked up. And where's his teammate? Oh, Matt Coys takes care of Era BX. Nice and easy.
The zoning of Mango on the right. Mush a little too far in the bottom. Crimson going to get slowed out from the Petrifies. He falls.
Very good play there from Noxious. Hydro making the rotation, making himself known, and putting number 3 up on the board for him and his team. Great job there from the Europeans.
Man, Medusa's doing so much work in this set, whether it's Keeks mate or Hydro. Keeks able to take a 1v2 and still escape into the safety of his own red buff. Both of these hunters making the plays happen when it matters, and very identical styles going for the Transcendence.
Do you think the Medusa is going to be a big pick, not just following console over at DreamHack, but the upcoming PC placement starts on Monday?
I think so, because you look at some of these corridors in the jungle and you think about, you know, certain abilities that really thrive off of it. You're thinking of Waxing Moon, you're thinking of the Petrify, Through Space and Time, Final Judgment. Those corridor fights are so important to take advantage if you have those abilities. And around Fire Giant specifically, there are plenty of corridors to position yourself around such. So that Petrify does a lot of damage if you can hit people from the front, even if it is going to be a tanky Guardian.
That's really, I loved the Blink Medusa last game from Keeks mate. We saw a number of times, at least twice, where players were just doing their thing, shooting the Gold Fury, or just, you know, not paying attention, and all of a sudden, I'm stoned! They get hit by the ultimate out of Medusa, they get turned into a statue. Just real fun stuff coming out of Medusa. I think she's going to be a power pick.
The ultimate damage numbers are basically mage level. 700 damage plus 100% scaling at max rank is just so obnoxious to deal with.
Matt Coys right now doing, I love the vision he's placing while his team is doing the objective. 50% of the Gold Fury. Mango is over the wall. FlashPoint are aware, and so they're going to leash it up. They're going to pick it back. They really want to fight Noxious right now, but Noxious learned their lesson from game 1.
They want to bait Noxious in a bad spot. Crimson was just basic attacking the Gold Fury to get some of his mana back from that Freya passive, and that's going to allow him to still stay relatively healthy in the mana department to spam those abilities. We were talking about in game number 1, Tom, the level disparity between these two mid laners. Not much has changed in game number 2.
Yeah, 3 levels above. In fact, we were laughing. Just not a lot of success for the Nuwa here. Low pick rate, low win rate as well. Very interesting selection. Why does Arabiax go to Nuwa here?
It is a safe pick if you have somebody next to you, but his 2 deaths, there was nobody next to him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that far out of position. Like, he was right next to his tower line, but he didn't respect the true potential. Level 9 Nuwa doesn't deal that much damage, and he was forced to rush the boots after starting off with that tier 2 Book of Thoth. And if you don't have the mobility to escape Matt Coys, well, you're just a sitting duck for the Cataclysm.
Right side, Delny and Gnome just banging it out as per usual. Delny with a full HP bar, but he's been camped over here. Only 1 death, but definitely been pushed out of lane at least 2 or 3 times so far. Still able to stay competitive, though, and I think that's a big win.
Absolutely. Despite taking that early spill about 6 minutes into the game or so, that's the true success of a lot of soul laners, is how you can roll with the punches and bounce on back. So the fact that he's not too far behind Gnome in the experience department just goes to show that Delny's been able to get some back camp, some blue buff solo, while Jumpa has been concentrating on other areas of the map.
So players here in the mid lane. RBX across the way, Crimson on the Freya. Freya's been such an impressive pick here in Season 5, specifically the latter half of the year. She got changed around, and the damage she brings is incredible. So a very interesting shift to the character. She was moved basically from a out-of-date carry hunter player to a mid laner. Shelve that conversation for now. The objective picked up by FlashPoint. Ton of damage off the top. Terra's not going to be here. Totally, this one paid in full.
Absolutely free. Noxious even know that this is happening. This is why they're going for the Pyromancer instead of trying to contest the Gold Fury. Receiving 500 gold, they're going to lose that trade slightly.
I like that play.
But at least they're not giving up both objectives.
I don't like that play. I don't like that play. I think it's too early to be giving up objectives like that. I think this is the point where you could have contested.
The problem is playing a new Wa doesn't have steal potential, right? That's more of a team fighting kind of control mage between the Clay Golem Shining Metal, which does a lot of damage, but that's later in the game once you get some items, you get multiple golems. But if it's only going to be 3 members because Mango and Gnome were on Pyromancer, then you're not stealing that Gold Fury anytime soon. If anything, FlashPoint are going to get off that objective and kill those 3 members and then get the Gold Fury.
I mean, you mentioned it before. Hydro's got mage-like numbers on his ultimate.
That's true.
So I'm totally with you. And actually, I think that's a beautiful part of the Noxious draft is that they do give up some objective secure in the mid lane, but they pick it up with the Medusa.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see at least a shot for it. Instead, Gold Fury goes down. Hydro is going to die here. Matt Koiz with the ultimate. Crimson takes care of Hydro. And Koiz, will he die to the Nuwa?
Nope.
No, he stays alive. And the red buff does go to Noxious, but they lose a teammate for it.
A very important kill onto Hydro, dead for 30 seconds. Going to give Kingsmay more of an opportunity to separate that experience department. Jumpa in a 1v1, but here comes Keeks.
And he's looking for the kill onto the jungler. Arrow BX blows him up. 2 players, 1 shot. And that's the power of Nuwa.
The Mystic Rush used offensively. Jumpa getting way too ahead of himself. He saw Mush there, but didn't realize Arabiax was right beside him for the Shining Metal Clay Golem explosion.
You were talking about how she's more of a team fight character instead of an objective secure character. Right there, just kills 2 players with 1 stone.
So easy to be able to find out in these corridor fights, right?
Yeah.
It's not only Petrify that's successful in doing so. In these little encounters, closed bubbles, there's a big area explosion damage once you pop your golems.
One of the bigger conversations we had at the beginning of the year. Smite changing the map. Map stuck around for a couple of years, and they changed it here at the beginning of Season 5. And so a couple of characters, Medusa and Nuwa notably, became a little bit more interesting, because it is harder to sort of get out of trouble in these smaller channels, these corridors, as you say. Certainly an invitation for characters like that to join the party.
It just favors more AoE characters. Even Gab going to receive some benefits from their Hydro, taking so much poke damage. Keeksmate is trying to reset his cooldowns by jumping, but I think he bit off more than he could shoot. No, he didn't!
Oh my goodness gracious. Hydro's mad about that one. Arabiax gets the response kill. But Kingsmate putting on a show for us.
Without Jotun's Wrath, that play is not a possibility. I didn't think he would have the axe available, but he certainly did.
Jumpa trying to run away. BX picks him up on the backside. Now Koi's trying to find a way out. Gnome taking care of Delny. The 2 soloators have made the rotation. Delny uses the ultimate. Can't find the damage though, but certainly heals himself up.
Gnome topping himself off, landing in the back line, keeping Crimson and Delny in check. Matt Koi's awfully low, needs 1 more basic. Gnome secures it.
Beautiful team fight from Noxious. Delny is able to find some damage. Mango, bad play. Why did you dive the tower versus a Freya and a Pele? That is not what you do. And Noxious had a wonderful play, and Crimson erupts.
He's not done. Oh my
Just like
God.
his name.
Crimson wants more, but he's not respecting the rotations. There needs to be that little voice in the back of your mind of like, this person's respawning and they're coming soon, but not in this theater near you.
Man, Noxious right there. Mango makes a boneheaded play. And then Crimson gets adrenalized and goes a little bit too far.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
You saw red in his eyes.
And it's funny because, yes, I am giving Mango more nonsense than Crimson, who made the same exact play. But Crimson's coming off this hot double kill. He's just got, acid in his veins. He's going for it. I feel it. Mango looked at the situation, assessed it, and then made the decision to dive the tower. Both players wind up looking a little bit silly. And so all in all, it winds up being an even trade.
Mango getting out the Geb shield and the Pele ultimate just for his own. Keeksmate gonna beat away the slow. Needs 1 more basic attack, but the shell right in the nick of time. Mush saving his Hunter's life.
And right there, Noxious Hydro specifically says, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times, fool me 4 times, but the 5th time, I'm gonna get you. And his teammate helps him out and takes care of business. Now Noxious looking towards the objective. Crimson in the air early? I don't know about that one. And Noxious gonna write the lack of a Frey ult in the book and look for the goal.
Afraid of Mango's knockup, and that's exactly what happened. Hydra needs some peel in the back line because Jumpa is looking at him like a hawk.
But the Frenzy isn't good enough. He's got help from a teammate. 2 teammates. Still, Jumba gets a kill before he falls down. 2 for 2 so far. FlashPoint do get some of the damage they asked for, but this, a closer game than game number 1.
That was a 4-on-5 FlashPoint took without Keegsmade that still came out on top for a 2-for-1. So Keegsmade now respawning, making it a 4-on-3. Matt Koiz is basically out of the equation anyway, so he's going to have to back.
Koiz with the same build that he went earlier. Is he in trouble?
I think so. The ultimate is not available. Needs to be able to land a couple more basics, but Gnome gonna retreat. Meanwhile, Noxious secures the Pyromancer yet again. FlashPoint getting the better end of the objective trade.
Why is that the case then? They went for the Pyromancer before Gold Fury was even on.
They knew they couldn't stop FlashPoint from getting the Gold Fury in a 3-on-4.
So the last time that was the case. This time, Pyromancer goes down as FlashPoint started the Gold Fury. It's not even like they saw them.
They didn't even want to be on that left side of the map.
Just forget about it
yeah,
completely?
basically. I think it was Arabiax that was dead alongside Hydro. And though we were mentioning how Medusa is your objective stealer, Arabiax is going to be your team fighting kind of presence from the new one. And without those two gods, you're not going to want to be on the left side of the map. You might as well get something during this downtime, waiting for your 2 members to respawn anyway.
Delny again collapsed on here by 2 players. The passive is anything but. Delny gets aggressive, takes down 1. Can he get the second? Fighting Gnome. Tier 1 tower gone. Knockup is good. Delny finding the damage by way of the abilities. The rotation from Mush, staunched as FlashPoint tries to find the players. Gnome forced into the ultimate. Jumpa shows up. Delny takes on the 2v1 and comes out on top, baby.
That's the passive with the Soul Eater. You could take advantage of it early game, but this late into the game with the Void Shield, with the Blackthorn's Hammer, that lifesteal is so obnoxious that you can't really burst her down any longer without the anti-healing. Now, Gnome did have the Pestilence. You're looking at a little bit there, 40% along that side, but no Brawler Speed Stick from Mango.
I love this pickup of the Blackthorn Hammer. It's going to allow Delny to basically stay in these team fights even longer. He's got the health regen, or the health sustain rather, by way of his passive in the Soul Eater, but then he runs out of mana.
Yep.
Then it's given back to him by the Blackthorn as he's brought down. So he fights, he gets brought down, his health and his mana tick up, and he does it all again. What a great build from Delny. This scrum in the mid lane is going to go defaulted to FlashPoint. They're up 6,000 gold totally, and these last 3 minutes or so, FlashPoint have just made it look like they made the decision to take the game.
And the thing is, if you look at just a score, 11-11, you would think that these teams are very even, but the 2 Gold Furies going the way of FlashPoint, the towers going the way of FlashPoint as well. 4 towers removed out of Noxious is what's giving them this map control that's just separating these 2 teams between North America and Europe.
Noxious have done a great job game number 2 here. I think matching what the North Americans were giving to them. Much better than game number 1. Game number 1, Noxious just they got a first blood and then kind of rolled over and died. Here, they were able to dance with FP a little bit better, but now as the game trudges on, I think the power of the picks is really coming through, and Delny is at this point where I think he's unstoppable.
And Crimson as well, about to hit level 20 any moment now, finishing off his Telekine's ring, going for Demonic before that, going for Polynomicon. He has that one-shot potential, or at least for the cleanup crew. Gnome trying to escape, but now he could have baited out Mush.
He's going to find a little bit of damage, just some zonage. Jumpa not having the best game, and I think what a wonderful situation he's in to have players that can kind of pick him up when he is not doing his strongest. I think that's kind of Jumba's problem, was that he was the only guy for a long time. Now he's got some teammates.
Oh, Mush having to dash away defensively. Ultimate from Hydro, trying to peel
he
for
avoided
himself.
it. He avoided it. The sidestep from Jumpa gets out of the Petrify and finds help. Delny with the double kill. Mango, 3 players jump on him. Delny, 3 for the man, 1 for Kingsmate, and Gnome flying all the way home. FlashPoint, they're here in lane, and they're gonna look They're going to look for the Phoenix out of control.
They might even look for the game here, Tom. 20 seconds remaining for Mush to come back into it, but it's taking too long, actually, and I think that they're going to retreat to the Pyromancer after the fact. 15 seconds on Mush. This would be a risky call if they were to go for the end.
Yeah, I don't think they can end here, Toli, and neither do they. Right side Phoenix is all they'll take. Do they go to Fire Giant?
Oh, they have to go for Fire Giant to extend their lead and be able to get the remaining 2 Phoenixes and wanting to chip away at that Titan's protections and health bar with some of the towers alongside of it.
Jumpa straggling behind because he picks up the speed buff. And the Fire Giant going to go easily to Flashpoint. Matt Koiz, don't die. Easy peasy. Flashpoint, nice and clean here. 24.5 on the clock, 15-11. And the North Americans find themselves up 10,000 gold.
The INAP instant replay. This is where Delny gets himself that triple kill. Hydro with the focus point where Jumpa was able to blink past the action and keep everyone in check.
I love that moment. You and I actually talked about this old school Smite video on air. The jump party.
Yes.
Where everybody jumps. It's a really old video set to New Bugatti. That's what that felt like. All 3 homies just jump over the wall. Poor Mango goes, 1 on me, no 2 on me, no 3 on me, and he's dead before he lets go of his push to talk. Noxious, man. Ouch. Flashpoint, man. Boom. That's what they're doing right now. Feeling really strong.
And what's something we didn't see in the replay was Crimson's ability to whoop Mango before that fight even started to force out the purification beats. It was evident that Mango wanted to force something on the backhand side, but he was spotted by a ward, and without those purification beads, you play a different style now. You're no longer thinking aggressively because you don't have that safety net of getting yourself out of danger, and as a result, Noxious were constantly being barreled down by Flashpoint instead, and that's what's giving them all these little edges instead. Matt Koiz looking for the engage. Keegsmate a little bit off the mark with his axe. It's just a little bit of a waiting game between these 2 teams. Fire Giant still around their waist for another 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Flashpoint now pushing forward. Matt Koiz in the front. Gnome here as well. Flashpoint waiting for their opportunity. All 3 blinks are up. So you've got Delny, Jumpa, and Matt Koiz ready to go. I want to see Matt Koiz blink in and find the big initiation. Delny also an option. Noxious, playing it safe. There's the blink in. Matt Koiz can't find it. Doesn't blow the ultimate. Players spread out. Nice positioning from Noxious. Hydra's going to bite back and take care of 1. There's 1 from the mid laner. There's 2 from the mid laner as well. Noxious, fantastic defense, turning it into offense. Crimson surrounded and grounded. Hydro with 2. Arabiax with 2. Keegsmate the only one alive. And Hydro avoids the 1v1. Fantastic positioning from Noxious.
He's going for it. He jumps over the wall. The stun off the mark. He forces out even the Aegis. Needs 1 more basic attack. Keegsmate biting more than he can chew.
That was an attempt at a display of dominance. Keegsmate's death there, largely inconsequential. He was looking for his 1v1, wanted to kill Hydro, and then died. Doesn't kill Hydro, just dies. Tier 1 tower free. Tier 2 tower arguably free. I don't think Noxious can get a Phoenix.
I don't think so either, but this tier 2 tower might go down fairly quickly. Matt Koiz might posture for the defense, and something that Noxious did well was just allow Matt Koiz to go in. This Nuwa damage, keep in mind of how much penetration those Clay Golems do. With the Shining Metal combo, the Petrify from Hydro set things off by killing Matt Koiz before the Geb Shield came out to do anything positive. I think if anyone's going to go in, it's got to be Jumpa, because you can at least overhead kick that Shining Metal stun combo.
Still, I think the biggest play there from Noxious was something that I think lower end players don't really internalize. The positioning. We were watching Flashpoint just kind of line up. We know what's happening. Koiz is going to blink and look for the ultimate. Noxious spread out. So Koiz blinked in and then turned left, turned right.
Nowhere.
And there was nowhere to really ult. And because he's just sitting here doing the twist, Noxious then double kill for BX, double kill for Hydro. I mean, what a fantastic play from Noxious, just keeping positioning in mind.
Patience is a virtue, some would say, and that's what Noxious demonstrated to a T. Not overstepping past the Phoenix until they knew the team fight was theirs. Hydro following up with a beautiful Petrify is the secondary step after ArabX, and I think that FlashPoint are starting to get ahead of themselves. The way they were playing that mid game was a little sloppy, where they were going for a little bit too many kills, flashy plays, and now they think that they're almost untouchable with some of their Fire Giant buffs. So they need to kind of realize that it's got to be a methodical process before they secure game number 2 and they secured their ticket into HRX.
FlashPoint right now trying to wrestle control this back. 6,000 gold so far in the lead. FlashPoint trying to look for the fight more so than the objective. Mango collapsed on. Damage from Delny. And the Arlong Shen is history here. Matt Coy's now isolating Bush. Up goes ArabX. Gnome going to be jumped on. Backside, Crimson trying to deal with the mid lane mage. Lands on the ground, takes care of business. Number 17 as Nuwa goes goodbye. Hydro is on the good side of that one. 4 players dead. Gnome will escape into the clutches of Delny. And with Gnome falling down, FlashPoint gonna walk up the lane. 40 seconds, 30 seconds, and 50 seconds. The right side bird already hurt, and this will be the game. FlashPoint walk into the throne room. Anatoly, they're gonna take care of the Titan. They're gonna take care of business. They're gonna take care of the game, end the set, and we will see FlashPoint at DreamHack.
North America console scene proving to be too strong for Europe so far. Only rival thus far in the console world able to step it up at times during the spring split where they were able to win it there. So now going to be joined by In Control and also FlashPoint, the 2 North American representatives from both PlayStation and Xbox, respectively.
Fantastic job so far from these teams. Everybody looked really strong there on the side of FlashPoint. Really liked what Jumper was able to do, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at Delny. Delny, really, really big stuff. Game number 1, playing a tank. Game number 2, playing the Pele, a little bit more aggressive, and both of the games certainly in his hands.
That triple kill during that Fire Giant push was just really important for them to get that first Phoenix. Not able to really get anything after the fact of multiple Phoenixes, but it was just a slow, methodical process that they needed to kind of clean up. That left side Phoenix was a little sloppy. It can't be repeated during the HRX stage, but it's got to be, you know, fixed. Even after a win, you could still look back at a game and realize what you could have done differently.
In Control across the way, or excuse me, Noxious across the way. I did like some of their defensive pushes, not completely without fanfare, but realistically all about FlashPoint. Everybody on the squad looked good. Matt Coy's finally getting some wins here, and Jumpa, a big part of the jungle. But it's this SoundCloud guy on the left of your screen. The bad die job, but a great Smite game job. Loving what Delny's able to do here for FlashPoint and bring him and his squad. Yeah, flex it up, buddy. Flex it up, buddy. You're going to DreamHack. Great job so far.
Discordia supporting game number 1, going for a more traditional Geb supporting game number 2. Matt Coy's flexing on his competition.
Love to see it. Fantastic stuff. As we said, FlashPoint headed to DreamHack. We're headed to the desk.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tolan. Congratulations to FlashPoint. Indeed, a well-earned trip that they're going to be taking to DreamHack Atlanta, joining In Control, who made it on the PS4 side of things. So now Rival not going to have a lot of EU help when they're out there. They're going to get it done repping the boys for the Xbox side.
But they might get a little bit of last-minute practice, though, still from the guys at Noxious. Noxious having come into this LAN and experience a little bit of the North American meta might be able to help out Rival just a little bit. One thing's for sure, though, highly doubt that Rival's going to let Pele Freya ever go through.
No, that is, I think we're seeing what that can do. 20,000 for Crimson and 21,000 for Delny. Not to mention Keeg's mate had an excellent game on the Uller as well. But yeah, hard to believe that Pele Freya were able to do quite a bit of damage. So I think that in both sets today, what we saw was that there were some errors made in picks and bans, I think, that really hindered them in game, because we saw some flashes, right? Noxious on that left side Phoenix defense looked great. We saw what this draft can kind of do. The thing is, you have to be able to acquire a draft that can execute well without giving up this much.
It just felt like these European teams decided to go with the picks that they run before in scrims that they were comfortable with, as opposed to trying to shift things around once the actual breakdown started happening here at LAN. And that's just part of the competitive scene. You've got to know how to make those adjustments as they're happening on the fly.
And I think it helps for FlashPoint that they didn't give anything away, right? Jumpa being good at Robin, Crimson being good at Freya. I mean, Keegsmate, we know how well he plays Ullr, none of that's new. And then I think the man of the hour, Delny, being good on the Pele, right? No big surprise there, to the point where Delny gets selected here as the MVP for the set, really off the performance he had in Game 1. He was the one that was integral with that steal on the RDO to grab that Gold Fury. And then here in Game 2, finding the triple kills with the Pele. I mean, they just didn't have an answer to him.
It's just the ultimate wombo combo. There were multiple instances where we saw Delany following up off of a banish, whether it was a 2, 3, 4-man whoop there out of Crimson. You've got Delany soaring through on this Pele ultimate, just dealing so much damage consistently that Noxious could not run away from.
No, there was no way back out. And it wasn't just the damage either, as this is the triple kill I was alluding to. It was also the sustain. He went with that Soul Eater right away, which we see a lot of the times from Pele's, because it gives so much to her survivability. It's so key to what she does, is that when she gets low, she wants to engage in even more, and Delany was happy to do that. Really, the whole team was. FlashPoint playing a little bit loose, I would say, here in this game. Even Keegsmate, his KDA may not have been as clean as normal because they were going in a lot.
A couple of questionable moments from, I think, Jumpa, Keegs, and some of the other members from FlashPoint, respectively. But I would expect that when it comes to DreamHack itself, that we're probably not going to see the same sort of loose play style from these guys. I think that they had a little bit more fun with things once they actually had the lead fully developed, because they knew how abusable their god choices were once they actually got them ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm on this Dragon Ball Z tip today, but that wasn't even their final form. You know, FlashPoint, I imagine, are going to look even better once they make it to DreamHack, as sort of as you're saying there, because there is some stuff that not only should they clean up, but that I think they could clean up, you know, if they're playing in a match where they felt, you know, maybe a little bit more threat. Noxious is a strong team, but FlashPoint were playing like they felt pretty confident they'd be able to win.
I think the whole way through, that confidence kind of just helped them steer things along, and just congratulations to the guys. They're going to be headed to DreamHack.
That's right. They've absolutely earned this win, going through as the second place representative out of North America. I got to imagine the boys are feeling good.